tornadoes can happen at any time of the year. And North Korea shows off its military might as the country tries to drive a wedge between the U.S. and its southern neighbor. Also, from the office to the farm, why a record number of Americans are leaving their jobs.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Mother Nature plans another night of wild weather for the 4 states. This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Tapping our first 7 minutes, we have confirmation of 2 tornadoes from Monday's early morning storms. Now, one touched down in northeastern Jasper County just before 5 a.m. The National Weather Service confirms it was an EF0 tornado that touched down in the area of Sumac Road and County Road 40. The tornado nearly paralleled County Road 40, heading north where it lifted near Barton County Boulevard. The tornado damaged trees along its path and also knocked down irrigation systems and destroyed an outbuilding at a home along Barton County Boulevard. Nearly 4 hours earlier, an EF1 tornado touched down in Newton County. It followed a path from County Highway AA to Oak Road, just southwest of Neosho. Officials say both tornadoes are a stark reminder of the changing weather in the 4 states.
Tornadoes can happen at any time, although as you get into the cooler months, they tend to be not as strong. So we still have to be vigilant, still have to be aware.
While both tornadoes resulted in damage, officials say no one was injured. And now we're getting ready for round 2. Michael Hayslip joins us with the first look at what to expect this evening.
So I want to reiterate right off the top, our tornado threat is going to stay way off to the west. As a matter of fact, you're going to have to get on the west side of Wichita for really that even to present itself. But like you said, Tanya, we need to be weather wary coming into tonight all the way through Wednesday morning because number 1, flooding is going to be a concern. Also 2, high winds are going to return. We saw the effect that they had on power outages yesterday morning. Got a feeling it's not going to be as strong, but certainly let's be ready for that. Our temperatures right now, very, very warm. As a matter of fact, some 10 to 15 degrees above where we were at this time yesterday, as we'll eventually move up into the high 70s, if not 80 degrees. And the Skywatch Storm Tracker and radar, very unimpressive at this moment. But as we turn our attention, look at this L shape that runs through west central Kansas down to the Red River and then makes its way through. Well, you may notice that's going to mirror the low pressure system that is making its way out of the Four Corners and northeastern Colorado and headed up toward the northern plains. And what that's going to do is allow Gulf moisture to impede upon us and create thunderstorms for not only late tonight, but also all the way through tomorrow. So even after sunset, it still appears as showers, right? We're not looking at anything too big. But then as we work into early Wednesday, look at this. We're talking about heavy, heavy rain coming down. These are going to be the same places that were affected with 3.5 inches of rain on Monday. So flooding is going to be one of our primary concerns. Also too, thunder and lightning, anticipate that. Then as we work into late Wednesday morning, we see it transition to the south side of I-44. Everybody's going to end up with rain by the time this is all said and done. Tanya, coming up here in just a little bit, I want to transition down. We don't have any watches or warnings in effect right now for us here in the 4 states. I want to transition down south, show you what they've got, because if it's going to start down south, gives us an idea of what we can expect up to the north as this thing rolls through.
Oh, that'll be interesting to look at. All right, thanks, Michael. The House of Representatives is expected to vote today to extend the nation's debt limit. The vote to extend it through early December comes after the Senate last week approved a stopgap measure in a bid to avert a catastrophic default and economic disaster. Once the Democratic-controlled House passes the short-term extension, it will be cleared for President Joe Biden's signature. Well, North Korea is sending a sharp warning to America and its allies, pledging to build an invincible military to protect against what it calls U.S. hostility. CBS's Ian Lee is tracking the tensions.
North Korea likes to show off its military might, and these latest photos give a bigger picture of leader Kim Jong-un's growing arsenal. Kim vowed to create an unstoppable military as he posed next to his country's most powerful missiles, weapons developed to launch nuclear strikes on the U.S. mainland. He said the buildup isn't aimed at South Korea, but to protect the North from hostile U.S. policies. Just weeks ago, North Korea performed its first missile tests in 6 months, including nuclear-capable weapons that could reach targets in South Korea and Japan, along with U.S. military bases in the region. The South recently tested its own submarine-launched weapon. Amid the saber-rattling, North Korea says it's open to conditional talks with Seoul. Some analysts believe Pyongyang will try to pressure South Korea into convincing the U.S. to relax harsh economic sanctions on the North. But until the Kim regime gives up its nuclear weapons, the U.S. has made it clear the sanctions are here to stay. Ian Lee, CBS News.
The U.S. and South Korea are security allies. Washington stations about 28,000 troops in the South to defend against the North. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, as we celebrate National Farmers Day today, we examine a growing trend: Americans leaving their office jobs for greener pastures. And later, we're making Southwestern pork chops in the Mr. Food Test kitchen. The pandemic has prompted millions of Americans to re-examine their lives, including their job. A large number of people are changing careers. Janet Shemlian looks at how some younger workers traded their professions for greener pastures.
James Marriott leaves for work before sunrise. A drive starting on Boston's crowded streets and ending on a road less traveled.
So I don't need any more bands.
With degrees in neuroscience and global health, the 24-year-old has recently taken a new job in farming. It's a different skill set, far from the lab of a biotech company where he used to work, developing vaccines.
And this is not something where I was like, I don't know what to do, let me just go work on a farm. This is how I want my life to go.
Here, I got you.
On a crisp fall morning at Drumlin Farm, Marriott is not an anomaly. We also met Sean Moriarty, who left his job as a copywriter to harvest crops.
You know, I did not feel like what I was doing mattered at all. And that's why you're like, okay, I gotta leave this.
And physical therapist Kat Steckbeck traded days inside a hospital for bucolic green acres.
And I think COVID certainly sped up the feelings of burnout.
What's happening in this Massachusetts farm field is part of a seismic shift. A July study found nearly a third of U.S. workers under 40 considered changing careers during the pandemic.
What is the commonality among these 20-somethings who are leaving these white-collar jobs for farm work?
We all kind of felt like we were cogs in the wheel of this larger system that we didn't really want to be a part of.
But there's a trade-off. Beyond calloused hands and sore backs, the job comes with a pay cut.
Your income has dropped by half?
A little more than that, yep.
Whether the move is permanent, Steckbeck's not sure. And James Marriott, pursuing a master's in epidemiology, says it's the right choice for right now.
I don't see myself doing this forever, but I'll always kind of keep farming with me in some way.
The pandemic's impact, for some rethinking what's important and venturing into new pastures. Janet Shemlian, Lincoln, Massachusetts.
Well, it's only fitting that today is National Farmers Day. October 12th is a perfect time to honor the hardworking farmers across the country. They deserve a rest as the fall harvest season comes to an end. Farmers provide food for our table and some of the clothing we wear. To celebrate National Farmers Day, you can buy fruits and vegetables from a local farmers market, or you can also visit a nearby farm for a fun fall activity and thank a farmer in person. Still to come on the KOAM News at noon, Mr. Food.
Those fancy and costly meal kits when you can whip up an easy and flavorful dinner in no time. That's budget friendly too.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
That gorgeous sight that we encounter here at the 12 o'clock hour on a Tuesday is certainly a far cry from what we experienced yesterday. And here's the bad thing. And I don't want to bring your Tuesday down. That's going to be a far cry from what we're experiencing at this time tomorrow. So I know today for a whole lot of people, I know it's wind and tornado cleanup in southwest Missouri, and I know it's trying to dry things out in southeast Kansas, and it really will be a glorious day to do it. But please know, one thing that we're banking on are thunderstorms that will present themselves for tonight and take us into Wednesday morning as well. So now is the time to get anything done. A very, very comfortable 73 degrees over 7th and Rangeline right now. That humidity plumbing all the way down to 42%, and the barometer on the rise. That's going to change, though, for this afternoon and the evening. We're actually going to see that thing drop out as we've got a low pressure system that's headed our way. One thing you will notice, earlier this morning we were talking about the temperature change being in the negatives as far as what we experienced on Monday morning. Now look at this. Compared to where we were yesterday afternoon, we're looking at anywhere from 10 to 20 degrees warmer. Iola up at a 20-degree bump up, 14 degrees warmer in CJ and Carthage, and 12 degrees warmer in Miami. That's because those skies have, number one, been so clear, and number two, that wind with a little shift down there coming in from the southeast going to feed us some of those warmer temperatures. We are now seeing double-digit sustained winds out in Chanute and Independence. Joplin just barely over the double-digit mark. It's not going to be a blustery day, and the nice thing is with the precipitation that we did pick up and the fact that more Gulf moisture is going to move in, we avoid any elevated fire concerns. Temperatures right now ranging anywhere from about 72 to 76 degrees, just absolutely perfect for this time of year. And not a whole lot of action on the Skywatch Storm Tracker as we anticipate the cloud cover that's going to lead the rain in, making its way here this afternoon. It's going to be a little twofold. We'll pay attention to what's out to the west and also what gathers in from the southwest. Now, this L shape that you see, it's been very important so far because as it kind of moves down all the way from the upper plains through the Red River and then on the other side of the Mississippi, well, it's got to move somewhere. This is not a stagnant low pressure front, and what it's going to do is it's going to present itself right along the jet stream. So this will give you an idea of where it started earlier this morning, right by the Four Corners area, northeastern portion of Colorado. But what it's going to do to tonight is it's going to shift. While that top part makes its way through the upper plains, the bottom part drops all the way down into south central Texas, and that forces everything our way. So we were talking about watches and warnings. We have nothing in effect right now. Like we're clear. We're good to go. Let's go ahead and drop down into the DFW area, because if this is any indicator of the amount of rain that's headed our way, that flood watch doesn't expire until 7 o'clock Thursday. That's right, Thursday. So we're going to get quite a bit of more precipitation on top of what we've already had. And that's going to be our main concern. Our tornado threat's going to stay off to the west. It's really going to be how much water can our ground, our creeks, and our rivers absorb here for not only today, but by the time we get to the 7-day forecast, we're talking about additional rainfall for Thursday, Friday as well. Up into the high 70s today. Let's talk about the important stuff. So here we go. It'll really be scattered showers. I didn't think I was going to get that one out. After sunset. But now we really pick up as we work into Wednesday morning. This is when it gets serious. We're going to be talking about 1.5 to 2.5 inches of rain that's going to roll through, thunder and lightning, the whole nine. Wind gusts about 40, 45 miles per hour. And then it drops down below I-44 for Wednesday morning all the way into Wednesday afternoon. Herein lies our problem. This is our rain total since Sunday. Easily in those portions of southeast Kansas that'll get the thunderstorm activity early, already picking up 3.5 inches. And so while we do not have any watches or warnings right now, we certainly will by tomorrow morning. Severe thunderstorm risk map, that is an indicator of the wind. Tanya, we do have the possibility of some small hail. I'd go pea-sized. It's probably as much as we'll see, but I need everybody to be weather aware. I think Chris and Bronte did a great job bringing us that information earlier, saying, hey, even though it's October.
Yeah, it can happen anytime.
And Keith Stammer, words of wisdom right there. It can happen at any time.
Like you said, they're usually a little weaker, but you never know.
But it's still there. The threat still presents itself.
If it's strong enough to flip over farm machinery, then it can
right.
and tear down a building.
We lucked out, and that is of no solace to anybody who lost any property on Monday. No injuries, no fatalities. We lucked out Monday.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Michael. We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Staff Sergeant Thomas Kelly in the U.S. Air Force. He hails from Neosho, Missouri. Kelly joined the Field Maintenance Unit, was stationed in both Thailand and in Germany from 1970 to 1974. To Sergeant Thomas Kelly, we thank you, our four-state hero. You know those dishes that explode with flavor with every bite? Well, today's recipe is definitely one of them. Howard shows us how to make Southwestern pork chops in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
As you know, we love chatting with you on Facebook and reading your comments on our website. So when we noticed that several of you have asked us to make more skillet main dish dinners, we got right on it. Today, I'm introducing you to our newest skillet dinner with a Southwestern flair, and it comes together in no time. We start by pounding a few boneless pork chops between some plastic wrap until they're thin. Now, we season them with salt and pepper and dip them in some milk and then into some seasoned breadcrumbs. Just make sure you pat the breading on really well so it sticks while it cooks. Then we cook these in batches in some vegetable oil. Once they're all cooked, in the same skillet, we saute some garlic and onion until they're tender. To that, we add some corn, accented with some red pepper, and a bit of cilantro, if you'd like. Once this is hot, we place the cutlets back in the skillet and top the whole thing with a Mexican cheese blend before finishing it off with a squeeze of lime. Talk about flavorful. And since we cook the whole thing in one skillet, cleanup is a breeze. To get the recipe for what we call our Southwestern pork chops, all you have to do is visit our website. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen with Kelly, where today we found an easy skillet way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our four-state market prices.
Temperatures are going to be up into the 80s today, but the important thing is overnight thunderstorm activity. Carrying us into Wednesday morning, we are talking about some heavy rain. For those of you in southeast Kansas that already picked up anywhere from 2.5 to 3.5 inches on Monday, the flooding threat is going to be real once again tomorrow morning. And then it rolls south of I-44, done with it by early afternoon. Cold front actually headed our way in between Thursday and Friday. Hey, Dow and Tanya, one thing I did want to point out, you have to remember in Allen County, we ran into that flash flooding on Monday that resulted in people being stranded. Iola Fire Department having to rescue people pre-sunrise that weren't aware that this was coming so hard and so fast. Let's all be cognizant of that tomorrow morning.
Yeah, it looks like it's coming in the same area, so
right.
Be ready. Definitely going to be a wet bus stop forecast.
Yeah.
What do we have coming up at 5?
Well, at 5, an FDA advisory panel prepares to consider booster shots of the Moderna and Johnson & Johnson vaccines. Plus, straight out of the museum vault, a new display shows off artwork from Crowder College's permanent collection. And of course, the latest on those thunderstorms moving in tonight. Join us at 5.
All right, thanks for joining us for KOAM News at noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.